There's an awful lot of snow. We're in the middle of March, and it seems like about every other day we get about 4 to 6 inches. And it's been melting down a little bit in between where you grade away to where the milk truck goes. If you grade away within later that day, it's down to pavement, but then the next night it snows again. And we're kind of getting in a situation where I cannot haul manure, all my bedding packs, and got a few piles stacked up back there. I'm waiting for the snowpack to go down. You get in the field, you know, you can go where there's maybe 10 inches of snow and you got these uneven fields, and all of a sudden you're caught up in a drift someplace. So we're just hauling the gutter manures right now. I mean, even my wood pile's kind of getting down there. Now I got all kinds of wood out there in piles places, but we've been going through a fair amount of wood. It hasn't been like bitter cold, but it just gets like in mid 30s in the day and 20s at night. It just doesn't seem to, winter does not want to let go. So anyway, we're kind of running out of things that we can show you guys. It's a lot of chores, a lot of cleaning pens, bedding cattle, doing some shop work and stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna illustrate how I find a calf and a cow. I just put these cows in the barn. I'm gonna see if I can find her calf, and then I'll talk about it a little more. Now this cow is pregnant with her second calf. I'm gonna check her number. Now this one here had her calf, I think, in like late April. Now we're middle of March. I can feel a calf right there. You just kind of get it so that your knuckle is coming in contact with part of the calf, like maybe the head or the hip or something. So that tells me this cow is at least 6 months along. Before that, it's very hard to find. If it's a little thinner cow, and usually I like to check them during milking time. That's the advantage with a stall barn, is we're right at this level always with all of them anyway. And during milking time, they're eating and they're up, and you can consistently, maybe every other day or so, try to feel if you're thinking she's supposed to be bred to that time. So there's no need for a veterinarian to come here and confirm that this cow is pregnant. And I'll show you in my record books how I do it. So whether I offered her to the bull when she was in heat, or I artificial inseminated her, I do have dates on her, and if she repeats, we just put it in again so that it gives us a history of everything. So anyway, we know that for sure. So this cow's got to get dried up late this month. So usually we give them 60 days dry. If you go back in the spring, I think we had a video out on how to deliver a calf safely or correctly or something like that, where I pulled a calf from this girl right here. These two are twins. Kind of ended up where they ended up next to each other, but one day I'm digging through the records because I got a lot of cows that look like this, because we had a bull that was lighter colored like that, so you end up with a dozen of them that look similar. But anyway, I just wanted to confirm it that they were actually twins, so that's all kind of neat. And they're both due around the same time, within a month of each other. This area right in here, this would be kind of like my office in the barn. And it's nothing special. It's just a little nook up out of the way, so if some animal is loose here, it's not pulling your paperwork down into the gutter. One side, we have laminated sheets here, and they're getting kind of covered with junk, but along with a few notes up there, that's the phone number side. And then the other side is my calendar with a few, my dry cow notes, and the gestation tables right on it. You can see that. Let's say this would be March 31st. If she would be in heat on March 31st, the next heat would be around April 21st. But if you bred her on that day, the due date would be January 5th, within a day or 2 or 3. And here's another thing I like to do, and this is just how I keep track of all my animals. I got the different pens, you know, the milking barn, our bull barn, front back pen, the calf barn, the super hut. And then if you have cattle on pasture, I do the same thing, and I'll add up all the numbers so that if something would get loose, we know what we got and what's supposed to be in each pen. And it's just good to have reference like that. And then the neat thing is, like right in here, well, I've got a calendar for every year I've been here, so I got like 32 of these calendars already, but I can refer back what I was doing last year on this date. That's like a diary. I basically got everything I've ever done written in there. Sometimes the weather, sometimes projects we're working on, prices of stuff, all that type of stuff. So anyway, then here, what I was looking for are my cow records. I put in this little notepad book. Now to just continue on with this breeding, here's one company we've been purchasing semen through. I'm not an expert on all of this. Some of this stuff, I guess, if you take a strong interest in it and really study it, some of the dairy guys get really into this, and some kinda and some vaguely, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing, produce a good looking heifer that can last a long time and show some profit besides just being, besides just doing well. So for instance, you got your name of the bull, and there's all these numbers that reflect production and components, and then you got a chart, and basically this chart is designed to show the shape of the animal, and the center line is kind of your average cow, the not bad but not the best. And then usually everything to the right side is kind of more of a plus in qualities of her udder and her feet, and along with a whole bunch of other type of things. And then on the left side is somewhat to the negative, not always, but it's generally that. And I usually let the guy that sells me this stuff kind of pick them. I just show him cows that I like. And I said, sell me semen from a bull that would create cows that look like this or like that, and I'll pick out 4 or 5 different cows. And on here they break it all down into, if you want to make money on them, you look at those bulls more. You want a lot of protein, you need that. You need a lot of fat, you need that. So what I do is, if for instance my udders are crooked, I would try to get a bull that is strong on creating daughters with good udders. Or if we need feet and leg improvements, another section for that. Or you just want a good looking cow, if you want a longevity cow, and usually they're a little smaller because that's just natural that a smaller animal would hold up longer. Doesn't mean they're not going to be profitable. But anyway, that's generally what that is. I'm not going to get crazy into that because I don't even understand it fully myself. There's a lot of companies that do this, and they all got little different ways of trying to market their semen. And if you're wondering what the cost of a straw semen for one, to breed a cow one time with, it can be anywhere from probably $12 all the way up to $100. We focus more around $20 to $25. It used to be a lot of $16 to $20 bulls, 18, but with inflation and other things, it's changing a little bit. Usually kind of goes along with the milk price and the price of cattle. But that's where we are. We try to stick around $20 to $22. And here's my record book. So for instance, I would bump a calf and a cow, kind of chicken scratching to a lot of views, but her number, and where there's a star, that's usually a heifer which hasn't had a calf yet. That would be her first time. The check mark usually means that I confirmed a calf. And I usually, if I bumped it, I'd put a B next to my check. When I put a cross to it, that means it already had its calf. So those are just reference for later on in her life to go back and look at how well she was doing as far as conceiving a calf and stuff. So now we go here, like for instance, this number 41. I was able to bump a calf. I already have her dry, of course. She comes in April 8th. And when she comes in, I'll put another slash through that, meaning that that's done. Now down here, this number 2, apparently she was a lot further off. I think what it was is she wasn't milking a lot. We needed a room for a fresh cow, so I dried her up. But before I did that, I had to send in a milk sample. And our co-op has where they send all their sampling in to a company. They will test for pregnancy, and it's something with the hormones in the milk that they can tell if it comes out positive or not. And then of course I got my date when I exposed to our bull, so then I put a T down. It represents I tested for the confirmation of that. It's just generally things like that. So basically you got your cow, your date, they confirm the bull, and then when it should be due. So that just, we do not have to have a pregnancy check from a veterinarian. Very seldom, maybe once a year I might get a few done that way. So that's the breeding side of things. And this book has probably got, I think I got like 5 years in this book, where the binding is already falling apart. And I'm thinking next year I'm going to have to start another book again. I like having it in one because I got 5 years in there. So most of my cows only been here about that long. So everything I need is in one book. I can find it in seconds. Right during milking, if I bump a calf, I can flip open this little book and do a little bookkeeping, and And then from year to year, I'll throw my date in there. I do add up all the calves we had, which last year, in the year of 2022, 30 heifer calves and 34 bull calves total. So this little dairy is enough. So this would be when they calve, this section of the book. So you got your cow date, and this ease, that's calving ease. So G for good, you know, F for fair, P for poor. And if there was something like, I did have one like a week ago that came backwards, so I'd put a little note in there that would represent that. Or if they didn't clean out, which the placenta didn't come out within a day or so, you might put a note that way. So it kind of gives you a reference of her history of how she was health-wise. Then you got the size of the calf, B for big, M for medium, S for small, things like that. And then sex, you know, bulls, heifers, B, H. And then if it's a heifer, the heifer gets a number. We basically started from 1, and we didn't start on the first years, but we're just about the 600 already here. So every heifer gets a blue tag, and that usually will stay in her before it falls out by itself. It would be there probably until she's maybe in the barn 2 to 3 years. Some will stay in there a long time, but it's just plastic, so then they go bad. So anyway, and then the bull, the dad of the heifer calf. The bull calves we sell, we don't even necessarily need that. And it is interesting to see the shape of the animals, the colors of the animals, if they're shorthorn or jerseys, or the bull that's crossed into or it's Holstein. You know, so most of our stuff is Holstein. Probably 80% of it is bred to Holstein. All that. So that's my record book. That's how simple it is. Anyway, if you got any questions, leave them in the comments. We'll try to answer them from time to time.